There was a proud Jewish father that was having his eldest son come up to his bar mitzvah about a year from now, and that's a good one. And he noticed that his son wasn't, know as much Jewish tradition as he'd like, and he wanted him to get into the Jewish tradition. So he said, son, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to Israel for a year, so you can know all there is to know about our tradition before your bar mitzvah. Son went to Israel, came back and said, Father, I'm so happy that you sent me to Israel. I learned so much about the Jewish tradition, but I have to confess, while I was over there, I changed over, I converted to Christianity. And the father said, oy vey, what have I done? So, just like the patriarch's tradition, he went to a friend, a very good friend of his, the father did, said, what can I do? What can I do? I sent my son over there to Israel to learn the Jewish tradition, and he came back converted as a Christian. And the friend said, you got to be kidding me. I sent my son over to Israel, and he came back converted as a Christian. And so in the patriarchal tradition, they both said, we got to go to the rabbi. So they went to the rabbi, and the rabbi looked at him and said, oh, you got to be kidding me. I sent my son over to Israel, and he came back converted as a Christian. And he said, well, man, we got to just take this to the Lord. We just got to find out what's going on. So they got all on their knees, and they started praying heavily, wailing. And then the clouds opened up from the heavens, and a loud voice said, you got to be kidding me. I sent my son to Israel. Let's say our statements of truth together, please. I am a child of God.
I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now.
Well, we've all had dreams and visions of a life that is better than the one that we are supposedly having right now. And one of the things that's important to me to let you know and to know for myself is that it's interesting to me that when we have those dreams and visions of a better life, of how we look at them and say they're dreams and visions, instead of knowing what they actually are. And what happens is when we have these dreams and visions of a life better than what we're living right now, it's the vision of God that He has for you. It's the vision that the universe has for you. And I don't know about you, but when God has a vision for me and tells me about it, I take heed. I listen to it. And I try to at least pay attention to what it's telling me. God wants us to have the better things in life, the finer things in life. He wants us to succeed. In fact, God set up a universe for us to succeed in, and God created you in that universe. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes for me, I misplace my thoughts when I get these visions and these dreams and of the good that's supposed to be in my life, and I start thinking, oh man, it's going to be tough to make it to that good. It's going to be tough to make it to God's vision. But instead, what I can do is start on that path and then realize as I'm going along that path that not only is the vision that God had for me of good in my life there, but it's also the road on the way there that is a blessing in itself. And the funny thing about it is I'm sure that you all have experienced this, is once you get to that point where God has had that vision for you, then you realize that this isn't the end. That this is only the starting point. That God has a new vision already for you, better than what you are even experiencing now. You see, God has a grand idea of you. God had it when you were created. God also allowed us to have free will. And we should choose for ourselves, and we can choose for ourselves, what type of life we want to live. And if you just think about it for a while on the free will, Really, you know how the Bible and a lot of people think that God granted that to us? It wasn't granted to you. You had it all along. Because true creation happens anywhere, here or in the spiritual realm, only when all parties involved buy into it. When all parties involved agree that that's the best way to go. I've got something here that I'm sure that you all have seen. We've got a lot of them in our yard right now. It's a little acorn. You guys got any in your yard? I know that we've got a bunch of trees in our yard, and some of them are large oaks. Well, this acorn, as you know, when they fall in my driveway or wherever on cement, you know, that's where they're going to be. I'm going to pick them up, or if they're still got a good nut in it, the squirrel will get it. But without going to where it needs to go to receive its nourishment, the ground, the rain, and other things in the universe, it's not going to grow into that big oak tree. But you know that it's so funny that some of the examples that life gives us, this little thing, take a look at this little thing and look at the big oak tree that it becomes at some time. No comparison, is there? But it still, within this, has all the potential of that big oak tree. And since we are the arms and legs of creation on earth, then we have to agree with the creative idea that God has for us, which is good. And when you have a divine idea that is yours to do, then don't hesitate. God knows that you have the ability to accomplish that divine idea, or it would not have been laid upon you in the first place. So, of course, we have the question, how do we accomplish these divine ideas that we receive for our greater good? Well, the best way to do it, really, my experience has been, for anybody, no matter where you're at in life, is to picture yourself there right now. You have to be able to picture yourself in your mind that you are already there. And if you're concerned about finances or anything, if you picture yourself with wealth of finances and things, start seeing yourself with unlimited funds. Know that you belong there with other people who have accepted the divine idea of unlimited funds. Conduct yourself with dignity and respect for not only yourself, but others, no matter what their financial status is. You will begin to see that the universe is indeed unlimited in its resources of funds. I think I've told this story before here, but I'm going to tell it again. Jim Carrey was a little known, very little known, actor, comedian in Canada many years ago. And all of us start somewhere. None of us are really well known unless we're born to a famous family, I guess, but until we do something ourselves, though, do we become known. Well, one day Jim Carrey was down on himself because his career was going nowhere. This was before, I'm trying to think of the one where he was the fireman. He was in Living Color. I love that show, yeah. It was before In Living Color. It was right before he started doing this. But he sat down and said, I can't continue on this road. I got in this to do some good for myself and for my family. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to give myself a year. I'm going to write myself a check right now and date it for a year from now for $1 million. And he had nothing at the time. And what did he do? During that year, he worked very hard, followed his guidance, and did everything necessary to make that check good at the end of the year. And sure enough, at that end of the year, he was able to cash that $1 million check. His vision, God's vision that he had given him, came to fruition because he followed his guidance. This story may seem like the exception to you, but it's not. In reality, it's the rule that any of us can use at any time in our life. Yet it does take our participation. It takes us buying into the divine idea that we've been revealed. Not only do we have to agree with the divine idea, but we have to put legs and arms to it. We also have to do everything as far as action necessary to make that come to fruition. But we always have to remember that we're never alone in this journey. Whenever your dream in life, whatever it is, picture yourself there. See yourself enjoying life that is intended for you. You have no limitations, and there are no ties that bind you. You are a free spirit to soar to the highest of heights whenever you choose to do so. See yourself up with the eagle, observing all the good that there is for you, choosing that what you want in life is what you can accept in life. Accept it with open arms of gratitude. I want to lead you in a short meditation this morning to help us hopefully visualize some of this. So make yourself comfortable. It's going to be short. And visualize in your own mind something maybe that you've had already, a vision or a dream of betterment in your life. And you close your eyes or don't, whatever's easiest for you. And whatever your dream is for yourself, take a moment to bring that picture up in your mind. This takes the merging of your mind with divine mind. A merger that can happen at any time that we choose. So go there and stay there for just a moment. Go to that place where you are in the vision. Feel the goodness that is in this place. Feel the sense of accomplishment that you have making it to this place. Bask in the glory of this place. This is a place of divine ideas because this place was created with a divine idea. And as you enjoy this place, recognize all the feelings that you are having. What great feelings of joy and excitement. Gently take notice if there are others there with you. Now allow your mind to keep these thoughts and your body to keep these feelings as you gently bring your attention back to this sanctuary. Were you able to make it? Were you able to go to that place and just see yourself there for a moment? How did you feel? Was it good? Was it enlightening? This short guided meditation was done in a specific way to allow you to see and feel a part of you that some people in our humanity today never take the opportunity or understand the ability to be a part of. The order in which you saw yourself at the fruition of your dream and then felt what it was like to be there at the manifestation of your dream was intentional. If you were able to take this journey, then you have been working on your spiritual growth recently. If you were not able to get yourself to go there today, don't beat yourself up, because depending upon how open you are to spiritual guidance in this moment, depends on how far you were able to get in this short meditation. At first, I hope you were able to just see yourself there, in the bliss, which is the blessing God holds for each of you right now. Then you are able to not only see, but feel the goodness that has gotten you to this place. And you understand the divine order in which it took that you had to be a willing part of to be in this place. Then excitement and joy overcame you, and you know that you did not do this on your own. More importantly, you know that you did not do this for yourself. As you recognize that you want others to experience this bliss as you have, you realize that in order for you to share this with others, you have to live it for yourself. You see, you cannot tell somebody fully about the wonders of God, how great God is, how great the universe is, and how it's set up for your success unless you are an active participant in that blessing yourself. So when you are telling others about unity and about the teachings of Jesus, we should feel good about ourselves because we are not only witnessing truth with another person, we are also living it. Jesus did this in many times in his ministry. If you remember, Jesus had one of the nicest robes, if not the nicest robe around. That was a big thing in society then. If you had a nice robe, then you were kind of the upper echelon. That's what the big priests and rabbis had, nice robes. But what did he do? Unlike the priests and rabbis that went around and said, look at my robe, look at my nice robe, I'm big man on campus, he went around and talked about the truth, not saying anything about his robe. But when we talk about these dreams and these blessings, these visions that sometimes we get that are better than the life we're living now, some people always have to ask me, what happens when you have a nightmare? And I always have to answer, you don't have to have a nightmare. Nightmares are not reaching our bliss. It is nothing more than getting sidetracked on a false sense or false belief that is not truth. God's blessing for you contains only truth. If you experience anything other than a blessing, you are not experiencing truth. And if you experience something other than truth, then just change your course and get back to the guidance you received from Divine Mind in the first place by returning to prayer and meditation. If you manifest a dream or a vision in your life and you do not feel the likeness, the balance of that, then you have manifested it through sense consciousness. And this is the difference between the law of mind action and the law of attraction. We can look at things outside of ourselves and vision them as us receiving them and receive them. And that's the law of attraction. But if we vision ourselves in a place of betterment, not just for ourselves, but to live out God's bliss for us, then we are doing the law of mind action, which is, let's say this together, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And I want to point that out because people get confused between the two. That's one of my questions that they don't have on the sheets for L&O students, for new ministers, trying to be new ministers in unity. Because it's important for us to know the difference between the law of attraction and the law of mind action. If you see the book or the video, I'm trying to remember the name of it, we've got it out there. Anyway, it was popular a few years ago. The Secret, thank you. They talk about the law of attraction. And they talk about it, and some people do honestly mean they're talking about really the law of mind action. But they're calling it the law of attraction. But the law of attraction is different. And I want us to be clear on the difference. Because it's important. The law of attraction can bring something to you, but if it brings something to you, it's only temporary. The law of mind action, if it brings something to you, it brings it to you permanently. And we're not talking about, so Warren, if I brought $1 million to myself from the law of attraction, I'm only going to hold it for a while. That's true, you can say that. But if I brought $1 million to myself through the law of mind action, am I going to keep that $1 million forever? Yes and no. Yes, because the actual physical $1 million won't mean anything to you. Because you can manifest, once you do it through the law of mind action, you can manifest the $1 million anytime. It's not the object that's important. It's the thoughts and the relationship that you have with the universe that is important. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay. Good. I have that. No? You want me to go on? You had to do it. I've said many times, and I don't know if I've said it in the sanctuary that many times, but in class I've said many times that there's no human situation that is not described in the Bible by some character or story. Of course, this is no exception. When we see ourselves in the bliss that we have visioned in our mind's eye, then we will see ourselves there in the physical sense, in the near future, if we follow our guidance. There are examples of people who have done this in the Bible, and there are examples of people who have not completely caught the vision of God and followed through on that. Take Moses, for instance. I'm going to ask you a question. Don't answer it out loud, because this is rhetorical. I don't want anybody to get it wrong. Think of Moses, how many great things he did. Would you say that would you say Moses had a vision for himself in the promised land? Or would you say he did not quite grasp the vision? Now, first you might think to yourself, Moses, what a great leader. The first 5 books of the Bible is supposed to be he wrote. He wrote his own death. I don't know how you do that, but anyway. So you think about Moses for a minute and think about all the great things he did. And we get confused on this sometimes, but it's an important story at the end of it, at the end of Moses' life. Is we think that Moses actually did bring the people into the promised land, but he didn't. He didn't bring them into the promised land. He brought them to the promised land. Why do you think that is? Well, think about Moses in the Bible. If you remember some of the stories, whenever God asked Moses to do something, Moses always questioned whether he was the right man to do it. Always questioned whether he was the right man to do it. Not that he wasn't going to be a willing servant to God, what God asked him to do, what the universe asked him to do, but he never felt worthy. It's like, now guys, stick with me on this. This is when we were single, not now, of course, if you're married. But when we were single, if there was this beautiful woman across the room, across the other side of the room, motioning to us, come over here, we would always do, what would we do? We wouldn't start walking, we'd go, I want to make sure that she's talking to me. That's what we do. God wanted Moses to lead the people into the promised land. Yet Moses never would see himself as the leader he needed to be to accomplish that goal, to live in God's bliss. Moses did not see himself in the promised land and therefore could only lead the Hebrews to the promised land and not actually go into it and be a part of that particular blessing. He died right before that. Joshua saw the promised land, the new leader, and said, why not? Sure, God's blessing's right in front of me, why not? Why shouldn't I partake in it? So he led the people into the promised land. I want to share with you today a quote from Lowell Fillmore. He's the son of the founders, one of the sons, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, in this book that he wrote, Prayer Way to Health, Wealth, and Happiness. I like this book. It's an easy read if you decide to get it. There's only one more out there. If we decide to get more, we can, because it's on the Unity Classics. And the Unity Classics, just briefly, Unity Classics books are books that they'll always print. If you're not on that, then you're not guaranteed to reprint. But this is the quote. Life is now, and God is eternally with me. Today is eternal. The present is the only time in which we can do anything. We cannot do anything yesterday or tomorrow. But we can brood over the things that have happened in the past or worry about the things that may happen in the future and waste our wonderful today. The wisest thing we can do is to live today and enjoy life now. Today is always here and is the only time we actually can do anything. Moses had the same problem that many people have today. He could see other people receiving blessings from the universe, but he never felt totally worthy of those same blessings for himself. Which is really a shame, because each of us, as a child of God, have the birthright to join in the blessings of the universe set up for our success. But just like Moses, we can choose to not feel worthy of God's blessings and therefore not see ourselves fully involved in those blessings. Or we can be like Joshua and say, why not? Why not enjoy the wonders that God has for me? God set them there for me. All I have to do is say yes. I think this is where a lot of us here today are on our personal lives and in our church life. We see the blessings of God all around us, and Unity people are famous for being happy about other people receiving blessings. But for some reason, a lot of Unity people don't feel like they're totally worthy of it themselves. When our blessings are right in front of us, we really have not only the birthright to accept those blessings, but we should not hesitate to accept those blessings. But it's just like the guided meditation that we experienced together just a minute ago. We cannot be as much of a blessing to other people that we feel are worthy of receiving God's blessings unless we accept the fact that we are worthy ourselves and need to partake in those blessings. Just think of a job or something that you're doing. If you do the job, if you physically do the job, then you'll know more about it than just reading about it, wouldn't you? It's just common sense. So if we accept the blessings of God and we don't partake in them in our own personal life, then we can theoretically say, yes, it's wonderful. But if we partake in it, then not only we're going to say it's wonderful, but we're going to have that feeling. And you know as much as I do, when someone tells you about something, if they have feeling in it, then it's a lot more powerful, and you can feel it from them. And I can stand here and tell you that you are worthy. And you are. Till I'm blue in the face. Yet you are the one who has to accept your birthright and see yourself living the blessings that God has for you. Will you do that today? Yes.
Yes.
You don't have to do it tomorrow, just today. Will you allow yourself to be in the blessings of God?
Yes.
Will you see yourself there?
Yes.
When you do that, there is nothing that can stop you in anything you do. And the funny thing is that when you're accepting your blessings, others are blessed also. Know that God is blessing you now. Amen.
Amen.